going to be, so we get on some solid footing over there. Of course, it's still dirt. I did, with this picture, you can see this from this point over is hard blue granite. Well, this is the vein material all in here, and this is hard blue granite from here over. So from this picture, I measured my bucket, my gas bucket, and I figured how many of those gas buckets it took to go across this vein, so I could determine the actual width of it. I didn't have time to measure while we were doing this work here. We were in a hurry to get this thing poured and started. So I figured out this vein was 13 feet wide at this point, and of course getting wider as it went down. This is a little high pressure pump that I was using to pump the water out at that time. Now I guess I was using that pump to pump water through a special high pressure nozzle here so I could wash this rock clean. I washed all the dirt out of this rock so that the concrete would key into it better, make a better seal. You can see the different colored rock over there. It's kind of pretty. So this is all we're going to do is just, see, we poured concrete right on top of that mush. We didn't do anything. We didn't dig it down to hard blue granite, and this is all mush in here. So this is the shaft is sitting on solid blue granite for this portion here, but from there over, 1/3 of it is sitting on soft material, which I can correct later. And this is the vein material sticking out. We had to blast that out eventually because to get the shaft forms in, it didn't fit. Try and get this focused better here. There, that's better. So here comes the footing form, and of course this is the next day, Friday, and we had to pour this day, and we found out the form wouldn't fit. So I said, well, take the outside of the form off then and just set this thing in. We can set it in with the rebars can be bent out of the way if they won't fit. So we set this in without the outside of the form, and decided to pour the concrete out to the walls. They were very irregular, so it was hard to figure how much concrete to put in there. This was a young college boy and was supposed to give hand signals to the crane operator because he couldn't see what was going on down the bottom of the hole when he was up in the crane. It was that far down, and then it was on a strange angle where he couldn't see down in the bottom. So he set this down in there, and when we got it down to the bottom, the sock guy was down there with me, and this corner of the form was too low. I was going to have to raise it up. And he had a hard hat on, and he was on the inside, and he had a 2x4, and he had a nail driven through the 2x4, and I was going to pick up the form on this corner, and he was going to drive the nail in so that 2x4 would hold this corner up. Well, his chin was right over the top of this rebar, and when I picked up the form, and I looked up, and I saw that this rebar was into his neck, and the crane operator had a concrete bucket that weighs 2,000 pounds on the end of this chain, and he was lowering it, trying to find the center of this hole for pouring concrete. And he had set this bucket down on top of this man's hard hat and was pushing his head down on this rebar and about to kill him. And this college boy up here that was supposed to be giving hand signals, telling the crane operator what to do, he just froze. He panicked. He didn't know what was happening, I guess. And I had to jump out of the hole, and I had to flag off the crane operator, and he just jerked that bucket off of this man, and the man went into shock, I believe, because I couldn't lift this form at that time, so we had to bring this chain back in, and we had to raise it back up with the chain, and then we had to put the 2x4 in. About 15 minutes later, he threw his hammer across the hole, this man did, that almost got killed, and he started cussing and swearing a blue streak, and he was very furious. But luckily, he was alive. So we got the form in place and leveled and positioned where I thought was good, and then Tri-City Concrete said, well, Wally, you can't pour concrete today. It's too late. It's going to get dark on you. We can't finish the job. And I said, we'll drop my car down in a hole, we'll use its headlights if we have to for lights. I said, we're going to pour this hole because the bridge builder is going to pull out. I said, just send the trucks in. I ordered 35 yards of concrete, I believe. We're still putting the form in at that point. So the concrete came in, and we were done in daylight. And we poured that concrete. This is all concrete here. It's already poured. It's all poured right out to the rock walls now, and it's keyed right in there. And the bridge builder said that with the way I've got it keyed in with this footing, this is 3 foot thick now, he said I could build that shaft all the way to the surface, not have to even backfill around the shaft, and it would stand. It would not tip because it's keyed into that rock like that. Of course, it is sitting on soft material on this end here. I don't know. No, it's on this end over here. It's on soft material. Because that's that vein I had to blast out of there. So at this point, the bridge builder crew went home, and I had to wait for them to come back. They had to wait for this concrete to cure before they could start pouring the shaft. There's the concrete bucket that weighs 2,000 pounds that they slung the concrete down there with the crane. And that's the bucket that was pushing on that man's head. This is all of that vein material that we blasted out. I carried it up the hill and I had it in a pile right up where I lived. There's our head frame. There's our neighbors. Now I'm not out in the boonies. I'm right amongst people here. There's houses within I could hit them with a baseball in 3 directions. In this direction, they're about a quarter mile away. So I decided while I'm waiting for the bridge builders to come back that I would wash off this ore so I could see what it looked like to see if I could find any free gold on it. This is the hose I had up here, that high pressure nozzle on it to wash them rocks off. That's just the crane there. This is all that material that came out of that hole with all the gold in it. That's the place where he was dragging it out of. This is the outside of the footing forms. We just threw them off on the side there. That's a view from the top, showing what it looks like down there. This is where we walk in from here, down to here. But up from this side, it's 85 foot deep from here down to the bottom. This is just a straight wall, and this is where that child's footprints were, was right on the edge of this hole. That's when I decided to put the fence around the property. So I set up my high pressure pump here and pump water out of the shaft. This is the shaft opening, 5 foot by 13 foot. Pump water out of there, up that 85 foot up to that pile of rocks so I can wash off those rocks. Oh, incidentally, you go back to this picture here. When we poured this concrete, the bridge builder said as soon as that concrete is in there, as soon as you're finished pouring, he said, shut off that pump so that you're not pumping the water out. Let the water come in over the top of the concrete and let the concrete cure underwater. He said it'll cure stronger and better underwater. He said beside that, you'll have the same amount of water pressure on this side of the concrete as you have on the outside of it, so that water won't try and wash between the blue granite and the concrete and wash out your seal. So we did that. As soon as the concrete was in the hole, we let it fill up with water, and this concrete did cure underwater, and it is there from now on. This is a nice view here because this shows this little line here. This is all hard blue granite here. On this side of that line, this is the fault in the earth. And this is all vein material here. And this is the line right here on the same angle. It's about an 82-degree angle that this vein sets at, like that. This is all hard blue granite. Now I took the worst looking material that I could find here that looked like it had absolutely nothing in it. There was no reason for it to have gold, and I sent it off for an assay. And it assayed out at 0.06 ounces of gold per ton. And today they mine gold down to 0.01 ounces of gold per ton. So it was 6 times richer than what they're mining today. That is a piece of equipment I purchased for the processing plant. It's a variable voltage transformer. It'll take 220 volts and convert it to 0 to 550 volts. It's got a little motor here, and it's got a bunch of copper coils here, and it's got the turn here, and it's got 3, 6, 18 coils here. They all convert the electricity. It's brand new.